Hi, this video is an introduction for Google Maps. And with summer finally here, I decided to use Google Maps to show how to plan a road trip. And in this case, we're going to travel from Jackson, Wyoming to Denver, Colorado, and finally end up at the Grand Canyon in Arizona. So to start planning my road trip, I'm going to go to Google Drive. And with the 9 square grid in this top right corner, I'm going to go to my Google Apps and choose Maps. In the top left corner of my screen, I'm going to ask Google Maps to help me with directions. And I'm going to choose my main landmarks to begin with. So I'm going to choose Jackson, Wyoming. My next destination will be Denver, Colorado. And then I'm going to add my third main destination, which is going to be North Rim of the Grand Canyon, and specifically the North Rim Grand Canyon. There we go. So by entering my major landmarks that I want to make part of my road trip, Google Maps has determined a route and an itinerary for me to get there. If I click on details, Google Maps breaks my road trip into a series of different turns and highways, and it estimates my time and miles along the way. So for example, from Jackson to Denver, it estimates it'll be 8 hours of driving time and about 512 miles. From Denver to the North Rim of the Grand Canyon, it's just over 11 hours and 689 miles. So the first part of our road trip from Jackson to Denver is going to be for the purpose of visiting family. So we'll drive all of that in one day, and we'll be anxious to get there for the family activities. However, once we leave Denver, time is going to be a little more leisurely. And instead of traveling how Google Maps has initially decided, we decided to switch and go along through Moab, Utah, because that's where Arches National Park is there, and we'd like to do some additional hiking. So I'm going to add Moab, Utah as an additional stop along the way. Now, because of the order that I have this listed in, Google Maps thinks that I want to go to the North Rim and then back to Moab, Utah. So it has my road trip now is 26 hours and just about 1,600 miles. Just by dragging and reordering this so that Google Maps understands that I want to go to Moab along the way, it just took approximately 6 hours off my driving time, and it readjusted the miles also. Right now, Google Maps is showing that I'll drive down to Moab and then sort of backtrack to pick up Interstate 70 and drop down to the North Rim. Instead, my thinking is, since I'm going down to Moab anyway, I'll just continue down along the scenic route. It's always more fun to take the scenic route. So I can drag their blue route and reroute it. And again, Google Maps is going to readjust my drive time and my mileage accordingly. So this will be the route we will take to get from Denver through Moab and down to the North Rim of the Grand Canyon. Now, ultimately, hiking in the Grand Canyon is one of our main objectives after we visit family. And so I'm going to put the North Rim of the Grand Canyon sort of centered on my screen. We're going to start at the North Rim, and ultimately we want to travel to the South Rim of the Grand Canyon, where more of the national park facilities are located. Now, there's just one problem. There are no roads to get across. So we decided it would be fun to hike across, hiking from the North Rim to the South Rim. to experience all that the Grand Canyon can offer. So because this particular view isn't very detailed, in the bottom left corner of Google Maps, I can choose the Earth view, and that changes to satellite view. And I'm going to close the Explorer window at the bottom of my screen so I get to see more map. And here are options to zoom in, zoom out, and tilt my view. I'm going to tilt the view a little bit to hopefully get a little more depth in my view, in my screen. So what we're going to actually end up doing is we're going to start at the North Rim. And so if I zoom in here, here are actually the lodge facilities at the North Rim of the Grand Canyon. So we'll drive in one day, get a good night's sleep, put on our hiking shoes, and then start our adventure for the next day. So from the North Rim Lodge, we will drive over here to a parking area. We will park our car at the North Kaibab trailhead, and then we will pick up a trail and start hiking. And with the satellite imagery, it's pretty amazing that you can see the trail that we'll be taking down. And specifically here, you can see a lot of switchbacks. We'll be zigzagging down the canyon wall, coming across, going down, down, down to the bottom of this side canyon. Down, down, down. And this is sort of like just a big gully. And we will hike down to the bottom of the side canyon. We will hike down and then sort of turn and join this other main canyon. Now, with more time, we could focus in on all the details. You can almost literally see the trail step by step as we're traveling down this side canyon, and we're heading towards the Colorado River. So our trail will wind down this canyon, we'll come across here, and by zooming in, we can see two bridge options that could potentially help us cross the Colorado River. The bridge here to the right connects to the Kaibab Trail, and then you could see the hiking trail picking up. The bridge over here to the left connects to the Bright Angel Trail, and this is the bridge we'll actually be choosing to cross the Colorado River. We will pick up our trail again on this side of the river. We will come around, and all these images are just beautiful. It's amazing what all these satellites can do. And right in this area, we will start our approach up to the other side of the canyon on the south rim. And our trail winds through Pipe Creek. We will come around, we will come up. And again, I'm going to zoom out to get a little bit more of the bigger picture here. We'll let it refocus. From Pipe Creek, we'll actually come up this way where we see some signs of green. And green in the Grand Canyon is always a good sign because that's evidence that water is along that route. And our trail will continue up. We're starting to approach the other side of the Grand Canyon. Again, coming up the Bright Angel Trail, if we focus in here, we can see a lot of switchbacks up this canyon wall. And we will end up at the village on the other side. At that point, we will put our feet up after a long day of hiking and hopefully get a very good night's sleep and continue with our adventure later. So this is just a sample of how you can use Google Maps to help plan your routes, as well as your hiking routes in some cases, for a great summer adventure.